Hey, it's time to make some crazy reviews. Are you ready? Cause here we go. You know, ever since everyone showed up, things have been getting kind of weird. I didn't have drumsticks, I used recorders. This is cool.
If there's one arcade game that I've spent endless hours in, it's Crazy Taxi. The concept is simple: drive your passengers around town as fast as you can. They'll curse and scream as you flail around in oncoming traffic, yet if you're not fast enough, they'll freaking jump out of your moving car. So to make sure you earn your fare, you gotta learn all the shortcuts, pull off some of the crazy moves, rack up a combo without crashing, and slowly make yourself tougher routes to make more money and get that coveted S license. So as you may have guessed, this game was a real quarter stealer in the arcade. I wanted to explore every nook and cranny of this town, and long before my DDR years, I very politely asked my parents to get it on GameCube for me when I was like 8 years old. And I got it! And then out of excitement, I ran around the house telling my parents, "Look on the back, it says the game has bad language." And then they returned it. Looking back, that wasn't my brightest moment. But a few months ago, I finally got my hands on the Dreamcast version, the almost one-to-one port of the original arcade game, and everything seemed to work out. That is, until I found out that there was a sequel. A sequel not many people knew about. Crazy Taxi 2, with a new world based on New York City. And being a rabid fan, I had to get my hands on it. So it's time to find out, after all these years, if this game can live up even close to the original for me. Let's have some fun! Just please, do not tell my parents, okay? So when you start up a game of Crazy Taxi, your driver jumps inside their car and you have a limited amount of time before the game ends. In order to extend that time, you gotta pick up passengers and get them to their destination before that timer on the taxi runs out. When they enter your car, you're given a base fare, but you can increase this number by performing combos, which go up in value until you hit another obstacle. Get this passenger to their destination quickly, and you'll also receive a time bonus, which will increase your overall playtime even further. But as I said, if you fail, they jump out and you get nothing. Hey miss, it's probably dangerous for your unborn child to... Oh no, she's gone. When time runs out, you're given a license and ranking based on how much money you made. And from there, you just gotta start on over and try again. So, now that you know what the original was about, Crazy Taxi's console port was simple. You now have two maps to choose from, the original arcade map and another new map using the original's assets. You have the fittingly named Crazy Box with 16 super hard challenges to tackle, including bowling, driving old ladies to corners of cliffs, making out, I guess, and popping balloons, which looks very, somewhat familiar. And of course, you got 4 drivers, each with their own vehicles and different stats. So yeah, besides a few secrets here and there, that's about it. But you see, this was released in a time where one-to-one arcade ports were just becoming a thing. Gone were the days of heavily compromised graphics or spending $250 on some arcade cartridge. Seriously, show the Neo Geo cart. I could build a house with those. So the fact this even had extras was just the cherry on top. People were willing to dish out whatever they could to get their hands on it. Now Crazy Taxi 2 was a totally different story. This game was console exclusive using the same engine, so the devs could do whatever the heck they wanted. Exciting, right? Maybe you're expecting more maps, more challenges, a versus mode? Well, for better or worse, it's more Crazy Taxi. And that's about it. Crazy Taxi 2 follows the arcade port's content to a T. There's 2 maps with the same assets, a round apple and the smaller, well, small apple. It's the Crazy Box, you have a crazy pyramid with, once again, 16 insane challenges. But even with this predictable content, is the game still fun to play? Oh hell yes! It's wonderful! Content aside, this game kicks so much butt. A new mechanic was added called the Crazy Hop, which turns the game into part platformer. If you want to take shortcuts, you could actually jump upward into another highway. Trying to get to the other side of town? Just jump up a bunch of buildings or go driving through an underground mall. It just adds so much more strategy because it openly encourages you to jump around and explore and not just go down a straight path to, FAO Schwartz? I should probably mention that both games have a ton of advertisement in them. Sega X, the Pizza Hut, forever! Another big mechanic is the new passenger system. In Crazy Taxi, passenger circles are colored based on how far they are from their destination, red being the closest and green being the furthest. The larger the distance, the more amount of time is added in arcade rules and the bigger the base fare, so there is a much higher risk to lose your time, but much higher reward if you get it right. But Crazy Taxi 2 is like, hey, let's take it a step further. If you see a blue icon with a number on it, it's when you get multiple passengers in your taxi at the same time, and you have to bust your butt to get them there. Not only are they usually harder than green passengers, but if you run out of time, you lose the fare from everybody. On the bright side though, when you try to rack up a combo, whatever move you pulled off will be multiplied by the number of passengers you have in your car, which could lead to some insane fare increases. Crazy Taxi 2 was made with veterans of the series in mind, so don't expect a walk in the park. This can be a very hard game. Even if you were a B licensed player in the original, you are going to struggle. You must learn all of the crazy moves in order to get anywhere. So, I think it's time for a Crazy Taxi crash course. Take it away, Professor. Gladly. So, the rules I'm about to teach you, you need to know by heart by the end of this tutorial so you can be the best Crazy Taxi driver you can. So, pay close attention, no pee breaks, no zoning out. Got it? Wow, okay, really? Explain more about this thing that's not the pause button. Excuse me, I'm the teacher, so if you don't want to check minus, you better pay close attention and shut your mouth. You know, for someone who's a professor, you're, not that smart. Teacher is always right. First up is the Crazy Dash. In Crazy Taxi, the main controls are simple. L is brake, R is accelerate, B is reverse, and A is drive. So to pull this off, release both the gas and brake, switch to reverse, and then switch back to drive and hit the gas at the same time. This will make your car go super fast for a few seconds, so using these in straight highways is key. Next up is the Crazy Drift. Switch into reverse and back to drive really quickly, and you can spin your taxi as much as you want. It also helps when you're trying to stop at a destination, while also getting the taxi in position to leave. And as Other Me said earlier, third is the Crazy Hop. Not only does this work for shortcuts, but it also lets you jump over oncoming traffic, which can keep your combo going. Now of course, this makes you more vulnerable to obstacles as you hit the ground, but if pulled off correctly, the reward is worth it. Master these 3 rules, and you'll be king of the apple in no time. Alright, well that's it. Back to you, Balrog. Balrog, hey, you gonna wake up? Wake up! You know, I know how to handle this. Ow! How did you do that? And luckily, the Crazy Pyramid, just like the Crazy Box, is here to hammer these skills in your head. If you thought Crazy Box was hard in the original, Crazy Pyramid takes it all and cranks it to 11, thanks to, as I said, making a lot of them a car platformer. Oh! Prepare to jump a bunch of hurdles, climb up a flight of stairs in the sky, tee off a golf ball as far as you can, and most importantly, pop more balloons. Oh wow, this really is Proto Rocket League. Interesting. But honestly, these are pretty worth it for the rewards. You get maps of both areas, bikes, which were a secret vehicle in the original for finishing Crazy Box, and strollers. You unlock strollers. And I seriously can't tell if they're a joke or not, because I mean, oh. Okay. And finally, when you beat SS, this hellish level where you drop off 33 customers in 6 minutes in any order, you unlock something really, really awesome. The original cab drivers from Crazy Taxi 1, and to be honest, it made the hours of torture worth it because you get to see your favorite arcade cabbies jump around with an adult-sized stroller. It was the early 2000s, okay? So, now that you all know about Crazy Taxi 2. Oh man. Many years ago, I won this Wario at a state fair, and one look at him, and you can tell, this thing is cursed, or possessed, or the manufacturer just had a
really bad day. I gotta watch myself. So, how does Crazy Taxi 2 hold up as a sequel? Is it better than the original? And has Crazy Taxi as a series aged well after all these years? Well, let's get straight to the review and figure all this out. Without puns.
First up is gameplay, and Crazy Taxi 2 nails it. The concept may seem simple at first, driving and drifting and braking, but little by little, each layer of the gameplay shows itself. Avoiding other cars on the road, choosing which side of the road to drive in, since oncoming traffic will have more cars passing you, getting you more fare. All the shortcuts and jumping and making new routes. Crazy Taxi 2 may be harder than the original, but it's by no means impossible, and players with any level of skill should still have fun. The level design is pretty great too. In the original Crazy Taxi, there was this bridge that takes you to the other side of the map, and it was full of cars and pretty much a combo endurance run. Well, in Crazy Taxi 2, a round apple has that leading to 4 different areas, meaning you're constantly given chances to rack up some cash, along with jumping at just the right moments. Seriously, jumping is like the spin dash of the Crazy Taxi formula. But if you want a smaller map with a lot more shortcuts and exploration, Small Apple's right up your alley. But each one feels unique, and I came back to both for very different reasons. Now, all this praise aside, some parts of the game have not held up well. First off, I don't know if you ever heard of Crazy Taxi physics, but you know, there's a lot of times where you just get stuck on the wall and ricochet in a random direction. But luckily, when you get better at the game, this really won't be an issue. They're not game breaking, just be prepared to be a little frustrated. Second of all, you ever heard of something called the Crazy Claw? Well, it's another feature of the Crazy Taxi series, where you try to pull off the crazy dash too much. Ooh! You know, I get it. They wanted to add skill to the game, and the timing and control does give it that satisfying accomplishment, but after like 3 games, my hands just started crying. But even then, I think this might be less about the controller and more about the size of my hands. I asked Twitter if they had the same issues, and it was split pretty evenly, so play at your own risk. But besides those hiccups, the gameplay of both Crazy Taxis has held up pretty darn well. And in regards to the second one, I think it's pretty good. Second up is visuals, and for a Dreamcast game, also pretty nice. The models and buildings, while not amazing, are a big improvement over the original, and both maps are definitely nice to look at. But unfortunately, just like the original port, the game has some of that crazy slowdown every once in a while. Okay, I swear, that's the last pun. There's also a lot of pop-in, but it's far enough that it doesn't affect gameplay that much. So that aside, it's mostly held up well, and I'm gonna give it a good. Third up is sounding. Okay, unpopular opinion time. I like this soundtrack more than the first one. Yeah, I know, music taste is kind of a personal thing, but I felt that the Offspring music was a lot more urgent this time around, and it really pumped me the hell up. It says, hey, this is a sequel and we're here to kick even more taxi butt than last time, you know? It just ups the ante. See, this is why I don't do music reviews. I don't know my adjectives. But the point is, it's awesome, and I really enjoyed it. And just like the original, the voices are the best kind of awful.
Is this the right place? Better go.
Don't you know who's driving?
You need some practice. Go on, get back out there.
Wow. But despite all that, they do help with the whole frantic theme of the game. Also, it gets you this.
I'm here first. Speak one at a time.
Let's move.
The only thing really holding it back is the audio mixing. On its default setting, you can barely hear what anyone's saying, and when you go pick up a car, it's like, oh. But you can just balance audio and settings, so it's not really an issue. With everything put together, the game's sound is still very good. Fourth up is length, and as I said, for a home console game, Crazy Taxi 2 is very light on content. Even though the maps are fun to explore, they're really not super big. You can see everything the game has to offer in like 3 to 4 hours if you're good, and that's including extra vehicles. I know it's meant to be an arcade experience and everything, and the game does go for like $15 on Amazon now, but it really left me wanting more. As I said, unlockable maps let you see all the locals in an area, giving you a better idea on where, I don't know, the Burger King is, but you can't bring this up in-game, so you're better off just finding an online map. Kind of a waste of potential. There's also a replay option where you can set any kind of map options you want, but you only have like 2 minutes to do anything and can only be done in fixed time mode. I guess in 2001 it was cool, but I really don't see a use for it now. Overall, I do wish there was more to do, but for the sake of replayability, it's still getting a good from me. Oh gee, I wonder what the final score will be. In conclusion, Crazy Taxi 2 is a play-it-safe sequel that gives fans exactly what they want, and a little bit more. Usually I'd say that's disappointing, especially with the other sequels Sega released back then, but when you think about it, it's just a continuation of a working formula. And sometimes for arcade-style games, that's really all you need, and I had a blast driving around the apples again and again. Is it better than Crazy Taxi 1? In many ways, yes, but I still found myself playing the original because I like the original map style. Though, to be honest, even though I feel 2 is technically better, I really couldn't choose one or the other, so this is what I'm gonna say. Crazy Taxi 2 is available on Dreamcast or as part of Crazy Taxi Fair Wars on PSP, but I have that port and it's really not that great. Even more slowdown, weird graphical glitches, replaced music, the list goes on, but if it's a last resort, go for it. Also, you could buy Crazy Taxi 3 High Roller on the Xbox, which has the original arcade map, Small Apple, and only one new map, Glitter Oasis, but you'd only be getting one of the 2 maps. That game's also okay, but just keep in mind it's not really a sequel, it's more of a Crazy Taxi 2.5, and it has this weird graphic thing where it has new fresh graphics pasted on the old ones and it doesn't mesh. It's gross. I don't know what happened here. So really, just pick up any of the 3 Crazy Taxis you can, but whichever port it is, make sure they have the original soundtrack or a way you can add it in somehow. It's an iconic soundtrack and I don't know what it is. It will not feel right. And as for just Crazy Taxi 2, I believe that overall the game is good, and I recommend it to pretty much anyone who loves arcade racers or just arcade classics in general. After all these years, Crazy Taxi for me still S-ranks the test of time, and is an essential purchase for any Dreamcast owner.
You know, I'm only just realizing how crazy different these box arts are. Like, take a look. Like, the second one is awesome. You got like a car falling upside down, and you got the guy who's falling out. Like, that's cool. And then you see the Crazy Taxi 1, and it's like some guy snickering, like, yay, I'm gonna get Pizza Hut. Like, what? I guess in a way you could call it a crazy contrast. Oh. Okay, you know what? All of this is starting to weird me out. The professor is boring, Bob I just like to peeve all the time, Jerry is condescending, and now this. You know, I don't want to be any part of this, whatever you're doing here. I'm going back to my old ways. Forget this. But how can I get out? All these characters, they're all projections of my mind. I made them. Is the problem here, is it me? So, finally starting to understand what's at stake here, huh? What do you want, Jerry? Here to make fun of me again? No, not at all. I'm here to warn you. It doesn't just stop at video games, Balrog. This is just the beginning. Before you know it, that attitude you have will start leaking into other things. It'll be talking to friends, your work, your strive to be a positive person. This attitude towards gaming is affecting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world. And I don't want to see you lose yourself just like them. Since you seem to know all this stuff, Jerry, what's your answer? That's $1 million question here, right? How do you stop pessimism? That, I don't know, but it's the entire point of your journey. If you keep playing more games, you might just find your answer. That's all I can tell you. Come on, seriously? How is that supposed to help me at all? Jerry? Jerry? Ugh, I really messed up this time. He's gone. I guess now just isn't the time to know. But that doesn't mean that I still can't fake it till I make it. I still have more games to play. Let's try some more. How can he just avoid talking about problems in games like that? How does he find them fun? I always see people talking about stuff like this, you know, not addressing the elephant in the room. Gaming controversy exists for a reason, right? If there weren't any faults of something, nothing would ever get better. People would just make the same mistakes over and over, and those are, you know, they're important to address. Hey, what does it matter? It's not like you can hear me anyway. It's not like anyone can hear me. Addressing the critical sides of gaming. That's what I want to do. Huh? What the heck is this? A bow tie? It's not even a real bow tie. It's like something from Hot Topic. Wait a second. I've got it. He just can't see me because I haven't made a name for myself yet. How do you stop pessimism? I'll give you the answer to that. Let's go.